What's up, y'all? Welcome back. It's another episode of Knucklehead Podcast. I'm your co-host, Quan.
King Mal.
All right. And we here. Follow us on the Instagram description at the bottom. So the topics that we're going to cover today, bro, before we get into this, man, thanks for, being on here and partnering up with me on this, man. This is great. Like, I think the value that we're going to have here and the value that we're going to present to the market is really going to help a lot of people. And regardless of what the numbers say, I think if you add that value into the market, you get your return.
Facts. You're 99%ers.
100%. So with that being said, let's get into it. First topic of discussion today is going to be the idea of going against the grain.
Oh, I love that.
So what does that mean for you before we jump into it?
So I read a quote, going against the grain. So the idea of going against the grain is a secret of bravery. That in itself breaks down going against the grain. You're going against what everybody else tells you not to do, or what tradition says this makes sense. You're doing the opposite. So, man, you gotta be brave to go against it. That's what it means to me. What about you?
For me, I think going against the grain, I agree with you. I think going against the grain is really just taking the opportunity to take a chance on yourself. And, it's going to obviously always feel abnormal, but I think being able to have the bravery and the confidence to seek out something different really, determines where you end up in life.
Facts. Like, when you think about it, they tell you to go to college, they tell you to do this, and there's nothing wrong with it, right?
Right.
I went to school. But then when you look at it, in today's world, let's talk about the youth, right? The youth in today's world, a lot of them are not going to school. You have 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 millionaires that didn't go to school. They're doing the opposite of what their parents are saying. Go do this, this is the right way. They're doing the opposite. They're stepping out on their passion because they're playing games, making millions. They're on social media making millions. While people like myself at a certain point in time, I'm like, bro, I gotta go to school, this. I don't think I used my school degree. Real.
Hey, man, you ain't lying.
So going against the grain, I salute all the young people that aren't afraid to do something that everybody say does not fit the traditional way.
Definitely takes a lot of courage and bravery to step outside your norm or your comfort zone or what you're usually exposed to, because everyone's gonna think you're crazy. Like, why would you do that? We've been doing it this way for hundreds, if not thousands of years. What makes you so different to try something new? How arrogant can you be? But I think people misinterpret that arrogance for just understanding, like, hey, if not me, then when, right? We always talk about being curse breakers, but really, I look at it as like being a cycle starter, right?
Yeah,
like, instead of going back to doing what we're been exposed to and been programmed to do, why not do something different? I mean, at currently where we're at, the results that we've been doing have been the same. So doing something different can't do nothing but help you, even if you have some failure along the way.
I agree 100%. It's just one of those things where, like, when you think about it, it's seeking like new opportunity. Right? So there's individuals out here that have a blueprint of traditionally going against the grain, new opportunities. A lot of us don't want to seek those new opportunities because it's unfamiliar. There's only a small percentage that are where they need to be.
Right.
We see everyone over here doing this, but if you think about it, they have less of what we've been praying for. What is that? Time.
Right.
But the ones that seek a new opportunity, they may fall for it or whatever, but in reality, they're killing it. They're killing it. Why? They're not afraid to step out on faith or do something different. So I know I'm switching a little bit. When you seek a new opportunity, that in itself, like, when you think of it, what in your life, what does it entail?
I think seeking opportunities for me was really just like trying different things and being okay with having those growing pains, right? So when I first started doing Airbnb, for instance, and kind of understanding that I could have went to traditional route of playing it safe, but I'm like, I'm going to do something. Let me try. Let me really go against the grain on this and see where I end up at. So that's what came up with the idea to do international Airbnb. So like, I see people talk about doing Airbnbs and short-term rentals as far as domestically, but there's a completely untapped market, to my knowledge, that's out there that, why can't I get a property in Paris or something like that and rent it out? Like, that's a crazy place to have an Airbnb, and you're bringing this allure and providing this value. So seeking opportunities really, to me, is just like identifying opportunities in which you can add the most value, or seeking out a different result.
Correct.
So kind of segueing into that, like, obviously when you're seeking these new opportunities and you're going against the grain, there's always that afterthought in the back of your head of that failure. So what I will say is, like, when it comes to like fear and failure, what were some of the things or strategies that you went through or experiences you went through to overcome it, to get to where you're at?
To overcome the fear and then the failure side of it, right? And I was thinking of this the other night. The one thing is, I just was doing it. I realized if I didn't make a move, I was going to stay in my same situation. I was never going to even if I failed, I wouldn't know how it felt to fail, how it felt to not win, how it felt to, like, I wouldn't know. So sitting in fear was going to hold me and keep me in a situation where I've been complaining about my whole life. Like, let's keep it 100, nothing to anybody. But the reason why people are 99%ers, the majority of them, is because they're afraid to step out of their comfort zone. They're afraid to do something different. They're used to waking up at 7 or 6 in the morning, getting coffee, getting breakfast, doing all this stuff. But in the midst of it, getting coffee, oh man, why I gotta complain about everything? If you that leads us to stress, that leads us to anxiety, that leads us to quicker death.
Yeah,
right. So
stress,
why not do something? Try something different. If you're already about to be stressed out because of this, even if you fall forward on your face, at least you're like, yo, I tried it. I did it.
Yep.
I did it. So my comfort was to just learn. I just jumped out. And the more I jumped out, the more I started seeing, okay, I took an L win. And those wins outweighed those L's. And even those L's gave me a lot of wins because it gave me knowledge.
Right. I mean, for me, like, and I appreciate that. I think we're still in that mindset, because obviously we have totally different experiences. I think for me, I just had a fear, not even failure, more of complacency. Like, to me, I don't know, even when I was a young kid, like growing up right in New York City, you go to that same poppy store or that same corner store, you see the same guys doing the same thing over and over again, and it just pushed this. Well, for me, I looked at it like, wow, this person has lived the same day as a kid too. Like, this person's living the same exact day over and over, and he's 50, 60, 70 years old. So just being able to identify that at an early age really gave me that sense of like, okay, no matter what I'm doing, I have to go against what I see, right? Like, a lot of my family members, some of them don't have degrees, some of them don't. But I think for me was really that fear of being complacent. Because to me, I believe strongly that complacency is a fate worse than death, because essentially you're in an endless loop of living the same life. There's no progression. And I think, just from a holistic perspective, why are you here on this planet if you were destined to live the same life every single day?
Right.
So that's what I think about when I hear the word fear of failure.
Facts. And even just on that aspect, like, somebody was afraid to come in this room just now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why we took the pause. Me and both on the same. We working right now in the studio, or whatever. So we see somebody walking in, we're like, hey, who's that? Well, go ahead, man.
I love I can see out this little whatever
TV. Yeah, you
like,
see it refresh. Like, whoa, what's going on?
Right.
Yeah.
But even just the touch on that, right, is in today's world, just being able to go against the grain, being able to seek new opportunity, being able to step out on faith. You got fear, failure. You got to put faith in there.
Got to.
You got it. So if you're going to overcome your fears, you had to have faith.
Agreed.
If you're going to be able to bounce back from your failure,
gotta have faith. Gotta have something that you're working towards that's bigger than you.
Correct. So put that extra F into that thing and leverage it, use it. It plays a huge part. A lot of individuals, a lot of dreams, a lot of millionaires, billionaires that didn't get the money yet. A lot of people, businesses that weren't established. The most wealthiest place overall is the grave site.
Man, that's powerful. You know, it's funny. I heard an entrepreneur. I forgot his name, but I heard somebody say the difference between you achieving everything that you want in life and where you're at now is failure. And I think the way people approach that with that mindset determines, you know, where you end up to be successful. If you go into a situation saying, hey, listen, no matter what, there's a lesson to be learned here, or there's value that I'm going to acquire by going through this experience, I think ultimately it equips you to understand that life isn't going to be easy, right? Nothing worth having ever is. So if you consider those core principles, it puts you in this mindset of being able to be agile and adjust. Like, oh wait, no, I didn't fail. I learned something that I didn't know before. I learned what not to do. So now moving forward, when I'm come against this situation again, I have a better sense of self and knowledge that I can make sure that I'm successful in the next approach I take.
I agree with you 100%. 100%. I gotta say, I feel a lot of individuals look at things more so at the mindset of when's the perfect time. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? When should I do this? Like what is the perfect time of making that move? Making that move. Like, just so I'm gonna give it to you. Perfect time. Perfect time.
Yeah, talk to me about perfect timing. I hear that a lot too from different people. Like, you know, when's the perfect time to start a business? When's the perfect time? When should I look at investing? How much money should I put to save? Do I have enough right now to do something? Like, what can I do right now? And I think people get so caught up in that perfect shot or that perfect liftoff. It's like you wind up holding yourself back and getting paralyzed in a sense, because you're waiting for this unofficial goal sign, and it's like life doesn't work that way. Like, you have to make this decision and then just take it from there.
It's perfect. It bothers me when people are like, oh, what's the perfect time? And how I look at it, one, we don't control time. So tomorrow's the only thing I know is that tomorrow, the next second, and everything else is not promised.
100%.
I know that for a fact. It's not promised. So that being said, what can I do at this moment to capitalize at this moment? So if I do make it tomorrow, I can capitalize on that. Mm-hmm. If I still stay at the starting line and I'm here tomorrow, I'm still at the starting line. So am I waiting until there's no longer? Mm-hmm. Opportunity presents itself either you're ready or not. Mm-hmm. So get 100%. ready. Get ready. I don't believe in perfect time.
Get ready. You stay ready. You gotta get ready.
Facts. I don't believe in. I believe in jumping and making it happen. And maybe I'm more of a, what's the word for it? Maybe I'm biased, because not even biased. I don't know if that's the word. But I'm maybe just because I'm that person that I'm just like boom, 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 boom. Oh yeah, boom, 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 boom. And a lot of my friends are like, yo, Malcolm, stay on one task, stay on one thing. And I tell them, like, yeah, that's for somebody else. But for me, like, my wins came from boom, I started this. All right, let me go ahead and get this going. I started this, let me go ahead and get this going. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not afraid.
Right.
I'm not afraid.
Right. And I think that ties back into failure, though, because you're not afraid of failing or embarrassing yourself. So that fear, and I think that's the biggest part. Once you capture that fear, perfect timing, because you understand that's not a real reality. Like, there's no such thing. Perfect time is really wrapped up in fear, right? The fear that if I don't have everything in order, then I'm going to fail. And then everyone will laugh at you and talk about you. And I think ultimately for me, like, when I think about perfect timing, I really just think about really betting on yourself. You know, it's cliche, but you hear it's a lot of most billionaires or those 1%ers, right? They're not focused on if a product is great. They're focused on what's the value on this product and where can we take this product once we introduce it to the market, right? Like, you can figure out, like, Tesla had they were on their 619 version of, you know, different versions of vehicles. They started out with just putting something out to the market. Once the market said, okay, we like this, we don't like this, then they were able to make those adjustments. Right. But had these way to say, let's make sure that we have every nut and bolt perfect, even as crazy as Elon is and has as important as attention to detail as Elon is, he even realized, like, up to a certain point, there's no such thing as a perfect timing to introduce something to the market or introduce a product into the market or even start a business. It's really on you and how much you're willing to make adjustments, right? Being able to adjust and make those pivots it's crucial to starting a business and having to be sustainable because you have to be able to adapt to your target audience.
Facts. And even even on that, there was this one guy that I follow, and he had an ebook. Like I can't think of his name now, but either way, he had an ebook. But before he even created the ebook, he did pre-sales. And he was like, "Oh, I told everyone that this is coming out at this time." He's like, "I didn't even do anything. I put it up for pre-sale." He's like, "My first," he's a millionaire. He's like, "My first day we had hundreds of thousands of dollars in pre-sales. Now I got to go create the ebook. I don't even know what I want to create." And I was like, "What?
Right.
Just put it out there." Like, I'm not saying go to that extreme, right?
Right.
Make sure you
still want to have value,
right?
You still want to have that value connection.
Correct. He has the substance, and he has the audience that they know anything he puts out is going to be a banger.
Yeah.
So get to that point. But even then, my whole method is don't be afraid. Like, he wasn't afraid that he wasn't going to be able to create anything. He wasn't afraid that he wasn't going to be able to sell because there was no product. Like jump out on faith. You got little kids that's selling lemonade, and then they grow up to now they got their own food truck. Yep. Why is that? Because when they were young, they were sitting on the corner, lemonade, 25 cents a dollar, and then they build. Okay,
that work ethic.
It's just about what you put in.
100%. So now that we're kind of talking on this topic of timing, right? And I think a lot of people, they do have this false sense of timing, but they also think they have so much of it, right? That they have time to make it perfect. So kind of like, from your perspective, like, what do you think about when you hear like tomorrow? Because I know you probably heard a lot of people say, "Oh man, I'm gonna do that tomorrow. I'm gonna do it the next day. I'm gonna start this business next month. Or I'm gonna start it next week. Or, I'm going to the gym tomorrow." Right. Like, why is that so detriment to people that are looking to start a business, or to the 99% that are struggling to try to figure out what they want to do to take that next step to be an entrepreneur?
Boom. Those individuals that I'm gonna do it tomorrow, or always pushing it off, they never. A large percentage, I'll say that a large percentage never start. They never start, and the reason is because in between at this moment and tomorrow is 150,000 excuses that you're gonna come in your head. When you go to sleep, you're gonna be like, "Well, you know what? I gotta go to work. I gotta do this." Because every time you push it off, there's always an excuse. There's always an excuse of why things don't happen. Your kids gonna start acting up. You gotta cook dinner. Your job giving you a headache. You mad because your husband or your wife not doing whatever. There's gonna be so many. Your family, man. Just me alone. We was having this conversation last week when we were talking. I was like, "Dang, bro." I was like, "Things are coming up." So I did the tomorrow thing. He's like, "Hey, when we gonna record?" I was like, "Things coming up." I had a death in the family. My mama in the hospital. Even at this moment, like, my cousin just lost his dad. Like, left, and we was on the phone at the mall. Right. So many different things. And when I think about it, I gotta do what I'm committed to, because I can't change that. I can't change just 2 seconds ago, but I can make the present better for the future. So I look at it from that standpoint. You're gonna have those moments. Like I said, I did it, but that we're gonna have a lot of excuses why we can't make it to tomorrow, and then tomorrow's gonna be next week. Next week gonna be next month, a year, and then we're just gonna be hopefully nobody having dreams and everything and be wealthy in the graveyard.
Yeah, agree. I think it's so powerful that we're talking about this, because I don't think this gets enough attention, especially like trying to really reach those people that are struggling, or those 99% of the population that's not financially illiterate or not well off, right? And then people think, it's that 1% they got blessed, or maybe they just came into money. There are instances where that's the case, but more often than not, most people that are successful now in this generation is because they didn't wait for tomorrow. Because again, like you said, tomorrow's not even promised. Right. So you're kind of building your whole plan on where you want your future to go off of something that's not even guaranteed, which to me is like crazy. And to your point, like, life happens, right? We all, are human beings in this world and trying to navigate through it. But I think the most important part is being able to still, to your point, stay committed to what your purpose is, right? If your purpose is creating a podcast and connecting to the millions of people out there that need this information or don't have your experience or don't have my experience. That's a commitment that you need to make. And I think what we take for granted is we don't know how powerful our value is, and we don't understand how powerful our procrastination affects others.
Right.
So, in a sense that
yes,
if I sit up here and procrastinate, right? Let's say, for example, this podcast, right? Let's say we push this off another 3 months. Yeah, granted, maybe it may not reach the people that need to reach to in time, but it's bigger than that. The people that need our help now are being neglected because we're not deciding to take it serious, or we're not making that the commitment to get this done. And I think really in life, if you're able to battle that, I think it takes you a long way into overcoming that.
Facts. Man, procrastination, that's one of the things that, I feel like we've all dealt with.
Everyone. Procrastination is never ending battle, if you ask me.
At all. And I like what you just said. I'm looking at it from a standpoint of there's a lot of people that love family. Mm-hmm. But there's family that's looking, like there's individuals that's watching this right now. There's family members that are looking at you and they're basically waiting for you to do something. And I know you're like, I didn't take on this role, but that's okay. Mm-hmm. Because your whole life, your family always looked at you, right?
Whether you knew it or not.
They always looked at you as that person. And to you felt like you was the black sheep. All right, and I'm speaking from experience. To you felt like you was a black sheep, but they looking at you because, you may feel that way, but they held you to a certain standard, and a lot of times you felt depression. But in doing so, you allowed that black sheep or that mindset or that situation to hold you back. Like, I ain't gonna start this. I ain't gonna do this. Even if you do go to your job, I ain't gonna excel in this job. I'm just at the bare minimum. Or, you know what, I'll do it next week. Or, you know what, I know I got to finish this project. And this project, once I finish it, is going to change lives. But you keep holding back. You're holding your family from breaking curses that's been in. You're the breaker. You're the one that can break the curses. You're the one that can break the curses. So the more you hold back, the more your family trying to fight and get out. You can be the difference that everybody needs. And when you start to break the procrastination, you'll start seeing, oh, wow, cuz you just started a business? Oh, wow. Oh, you the CEO? Oh, wow. You just graduated college? It's different, but a lot of times we don't want to take on responsibility, or we don't want to look in the mirror saying, let's finish what we started. Mm-hmm. I'm done preaching.
No, I think you definitely giving like a lot of juice, but what I will say to your point is, I think a lot of times, especially when you grow up in impoverished communities, or you grow up in the minority communities, maybe you don't have the best upbringing, but we both can attest to that in our own way. I think really you have to say, I'm going to be that change. Because for me, I didn't know that I would get to this point where I want to do so much better for not just for myself, but for my family. And I think you don't realize how powerful your value is. And a lot of times with family will do it. And this is just because everyone's purpose and calling is different.
Correct.
Right? Like I can expect, and I use this analogy all the time. If I'm a giraffe, right? Mm-hmm. And my family member, let's say, for example, is a turtle. That turtle is never going to be able to see the world how I see it from my height as a giraffe. Right. They're never going to be able to know that these leaves up here in the trees are way better than the stuff that they're picking up off the ground. Correct. They're never going to be able to taste the air or see how different it is up here because they're a turtle, right? They can only see what's in front of them. So with that being said, I think really understanding your value, understanding that you're going to be the change that your family needs. Yeah, it's going to be hard. It's going to suck. They're going to say, what you doing? You're crazy. Why would you do this? And I think you really got to be a strong-willed person to be able to put that noise to the side and say, this is what I'm doing, not just for myself, but for the people that follow me.
Facts. So I'm going to add on to that, right?
Go ahead.
And I love, you just gave me that great, I love that analogy with the giraffe and turtle. Yeah. But see, what happens is in our world, and matter of fact, I'll use me. Mm-hmm. There was a moment in time as a giraffe, I was going down to the turtle trying to converse with force them to do stuff. But the thing is, number one is when I went down to the turtle and me still walking with the turtle, I didn't see what was ahead. Yep. Number two, if you notice, if a giraffe goes down for a long period of time, he suffocates. suffocates.
Yep.
He suffocates. So he can't breathe because he's not
meant to be down.
Right, he's supposed to be up.
100%.
So in order for me to stay steadfast, there's moments in time that I had to separate myself from the turtle in the moment and move forward. So now I clear a path for the turtle to go through. It's okay if you don't see it, but you see me.
100%.
You see me.
100%.
I can't come to you because then I'm doing damage for all of us.
Exactly.
But if I stay steadfast and stay up and I see ahead and I keep moving, I could probably create a path. Or you can follow my footsteps.
Yeah, because you have the foresight to have the vision to see ahead of the horizon, as opposed to a turtle. A turtle's never going to be able to see 100,000 miles in front of them. It's impossible. You know, that's not what they've been equipped with, right? They've been equipped to be good swimmers, to eat the ground, eat the stuff that's in the water and the swamps. They're not equipped to see 100 miles. But a giraffe, or this is the analogy that we're using, but there are those people in life where they're so far. You've been gifted with the sight of being able to see down ahead, and you have to utilize that, because you can never, as much as you would want to be, you will never be a turtle
at all.
You know what I mean?
At all. But let's flip that thing real quick. Our cousins, our family, our friends.
Oh man, that be the closest ones to you, man.
That are turtles.
Yeah.
Right. They've gone through things. If you notice, turtles, they dig through dirt. Sometimes they cover themselves in dirt. Sometimes they hide in their shell. But they go through rough patches. If you ever pay attention, a turtle will climb over something and take them a little while, but he gets over it. Our cousins, our family, our friends, our people that we run into that are turtles, they've gone through things. They just don't know where they're trying to go to. Right. And that's why there's some things that we probably experienced that they haven't, and they experienced that we haven't. So in connecting in the right atmosphere, not going down to their level, but and not forcing them up to your level, just going in the right direction. Your race and their race is totally different, but it's always a finish line.
Man, that's a great segue. Great segue. So now we're kind of diving into, understanding the pathway, understanding like your purpose and what your here and what your calling is. Talk a little bit about short-term losses and long-term gains. And I think this is sequential to what we're discussing, because to your point, right? Like there are going to be people in your life that want that instant gratification, right? They're on the social media, they want the likes, they want the limelight, they want all those things, but in reality, those are short-term wins that you're getting, but your permanent dream or your permanent goal is getting removed over time just because you're in the constant sense of instant gratification.
Facts. Being able to go without, man. Even to this day, there's moments that I'm like, nah, I can't go out with the fellas. Mm. Like if I do, it's seldom. Like
rare.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I don't do that often. There's times that I don't, like I hold out.
Yeah.
I'm very selective. When it comes to being able to short term, the only thing I do consistent is work, family, and basketball. That's it. But yeah. I hold. There's a lot of things I want to do. A lot of things I want to go be like. Oh, let me just go get this fancy house and fancy cars. Like it's a lot. But I know if I hold out today, I'm building, like everything is building for a future. Because the thing is, we live a short-term life, but if we left the world today, what do we leave long-term for our families? And that's how I think. So now every move I make, I'm like, okay, so if I go get these properties and I'm holding on to it, let me not put it into just my name. Let me put it into a LLC and tied to a trust, so that now Malcolm Jr.'s business is tied to it. You know what I mean? Looking at things differently, but short-term losses is okay with me. I've done jobs, bro. I've done events where I didn't get paid. I just went for the exposure. I lost that day. You know what I mean? There's many losses. I got bills.
Don't be all. That's one thing. Bills and taxes. You can't avoid it.
Stop wasting time and making things change for your life. Let's go.